How we doing, team? Welcome to episode 7. Episode 7 is all about the pros and cons of the fitness industry. Now, this is not a bash at companies that we've worked for. This is an overall perspective of what we found, especially myself, because I've worked for a few companies, as to what it's like on the front line working within gyms. And I think I can throw in self-employed personal trainer at the end as well, to be fair. So working for yourself, pros and cons as well. So I'll just have a bash at T-MacK Fitness at the same time. So we'll start with pros. What do you think? What do you find great about working within the fitness industry? What's your favourite things?
What's my favourite thing?
What gets you to go to work in the morning? Or in your case, 5 o'clock in the evening?
Whenever. Well, it's probably the fact that it's part of... Now, what am I trying to say? So, training and stuff is my priority. So the fact that I can do that as a job is great, and I can educate other people, and I can teach other people and train other people. For me, I think is a really good thing.
That's why I started it to do my level 2 gym instructor, is that I got back from uni and needed to lose weight dramatically.
Yeah.
So I started training and then realised the passion was there to want to work within the fitness industry and learn more and be better and find a way of helping me achieve goals, but also help others achieve goals. And I think that's the biggest thing. And that's why within 3-4 months I'd already qualified and wanted a job in a gym, because it looked like a fun place to be, and the knowledge was just endless, I felt at the time.
I think one of the things that annoys me, and this is something that I've said countless times, but I'm going to say it slightly differently, is you don't... If you wanted to work in a gym based on what you know and what you can do and what you can offer, you don't need a qualification for that.
Oh, no.
You know, if you've trained for 10 years and you can work in a gym because of what you know, you don't need a piece of paper. No,
just the companies that you work for do need a piece of paper.
They're a legal requirement, which you have to have. But when's the last time you used anything that you learned in one of your PT courses? I don't think there's anything I've ever used, because all of my knowledge comes from other sources, myself included as one of those sources. Trial and error, figuring stuff out for yourself, learning stuff yourself, learning from other people.
Well, and I think that's a big pro of working within the fitness industry, is that you meet and everyone's so like-minded to you.
Well, they are.
But
they have their own branch of it.
Their own specialisms and passions within that training. But everyone has a passion for fitness, whatever you want to do within that.
Yeah.
But I meet new trainers all the time.
Yeah.
And everyone works differently, and everyone's learned off a different person, and then they just give you something new to play with, and that's a real big plus of the fitness industry. Is that there's not a lot of... I don't feel like there's a lot of judgment in the fitness industry.
No, a lot of people think that there is. I think, which I think is completely wrong. Completely.
I think they think that we're trying to outdo one another. And I think proof in the pudding, 2 personal trainers working together to chat to you guys with no fear of it affecting either.
No, we're trying to drop some reality bombs.
Yeah.
Truth, but it's not like,
I'm not here to stop Jake getting clients because he works in a completely different field to me. And even if he worked in a similar field to me, thank you for that, Sky. It wouldn't matter, because it's a support network. It's about... There'll be a person that won't work well with me but wants to do things that I do, but there's a trainer that's similar to me and that they're going to work better with. Yeah. We're not here to take clients away from one another.
No, but it does happen.
It is a dog-eat-dog world, yes.
Yeah.
Because especially in self-employed personal training, I find. But I don't think... I've never really experienced that in my time as being in the fitness industry. It's always been this kind of, ground for people to share ideas, and some of them you might agree with, and some of them you might not. But there's always that openness to find out more, and like you'll find someone who's got more knowledge in one area and someone's got knowledge in another area, and I think that's one of the best things about the fitness industry. And as you say, a lot of people look at it and go, well, they're constantly competing against one another. Like, they must want to lift heavier than that person or have more clients than that person, or and I just don't think that's the correct way to do it. And there are personal trainers like that, but majority wise, I don't think I've ever met many.
A lot of people think that it's just they're in it for the money. Yeah. Because there isn't any. Well, there is when you start to do private stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a massive con of you starting out. So if you are looking at this and looking to start out in the fitness industry, you need to be very mindful of the fact that it's not graced with the best wage. You have and it's something I disagree with.
If you're working for a company,
it's
basically
minimum wage.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, maybe a little bit more. The last 3 jobs I've had as a fitness instructor, it's not my manager job, it's all been minimum wage. I know you were pretty much.
No, mine
maybe
was
a little bit more.
over.
Yeah, and that was down to probably because Jake had been there so long.
Yeah.
So he built up above minimum wage because of it. Whereas I think the new guys coming in were on minimum wage. For a management job that I had, I'm saying sub 20k. That's appalling.
For someone who's somewhat senior.
Apparently a line manager of aerobics and things like that. That's how much money you're earning within the fitness industry. And I'm happy to tell you that because I want you to be aware of how little it is. I did a management job for 16k a year. Yeah. And I ran an entire gym in Bracknell for that. Yeah. So the money is not good unless you work hard at it and you get clients and you work privately and you get a little bit on the side doing something else, which is pretty much what we're at now. Yeah. You have to put the work in, otherwise you will not get money. But as Jake said, it's not actually about the money. It's really not for me. And I've said that all along.
I mean,
that's a good.
It is because it has to be.
Well, yeah, but I don't. That's not my number one reason for doing personal training.
I would do certain things because I just enjoy doing it, and I like teaching people what I've.
Yeah, and you want the reward of them achieving something. Yeah.
The fact that it gets paid as well.
Yeah, that's a complete bonus. Yeah, that's how I see it. The money side of things has always been a bonus. Doing a minimum wage job, fitness instructor, and then an induction comes along and you change their perspective on exercise. Totally worth that minimum wage hour. But
even if it means you do certain things in your own time for free, but it gives you exposure.
Yeah.
That could be worth more having 3 or 4 people, say, for a small group for an hour that they haven't paid you for that particular thing. But if you filmed it and it's out there,
in the long run, you might get something from that.
Yeah, somebody could see that and think, actually, that's wicked, I'm going to now pay for that, who wasn't even involved. Or those 4 or 3 or whatever people could think, well, we didn't have to pay for that, but I want to do more of that.
So I'll pay for it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about exposure. It's like I wanted to do my technique stuff. Yeah. I said, I'll do it for however long, so it's seen.
Just so I'm on gym floor, I'm working anyway.
No. I'll do it in my own time. I'll come in off shift, not to be paid for it, to do it with people that,
are like-minded and
or
want
even
to
if
learn.
It's just people that I know and they're happy to come in and do it as well. It's
well, that's it. Yeah. So I think you need, in this industry, you do need to be willing to do things for free. And there's a passion.
You have to. Yeah.
It's a passion that you want to share. It's why we do things like this. We want to share with you why we do certain things and what and give you a realism of what our jobs entail.
Yeah, it's not just a case of you see somebody, you give them a workout, and then on you go. That's the worst thing. I could never.
And there are personal trainers that do that.
I could never do that. That's why I try to be a lot more coachy and a lot more teachy rather than PTE.
Yeah.
You know, everyone can be a PT. You know, oh, I've got a PT session. Okay, great. All right, do this, blah blah blah. Off you go.
Yeah.
That does
turn
nothing.
up, warm up, workout, cool down, see you later. Yeah. Don't do any of the background work. Yeah. Like for me, my background work, like you're saying, coaching within sessions and things, but also they might be doing a session outside. Like for me, for example, I do sessions out, but then send a video to Jake and he then critiques it. He's doing that for free. He's just doing that because he wants to help me out.
Yeah.
And he wants to improve me as a lifter, whatever.
And for how many months maybe, but definitely how many weeks when we were still at Farnborough were you coming in and doing deadlift Fridays when I was working?
When you're working,
and I was with you for that whole time.
Yeah, taking advantage of the fact that he was working, I could get the knowledge from him, and he's happy to do it because
you weren't paying me for it.
Yeah, like he's there to pass knowledge on, and I think as a personal trainer you need to be accessible, and that can be a con of being a personal trainer, is that for me, and clients don't take this as an offence, but you have to be accessible all the time as a personal trainer. Yeah. Within your whole life.
And that's exactly. But I think it's important to make sure that you have people that are going to then almost try to contact you as and when. Because if they don't, it's like there's no relationship.
You're not building a rapport.
It's not intimate.
Yeah. A con of the industry is certain people who won't engage with you, like even if that's on a member basis. You know, they come into the gym, they ignore you, they don't utilise you in any way. Yeah. And they just get on the gym, they do things all fucking wrong, and there's no real reason as to what they're doing, and you're there going, oh, I could be such benefit to you. Yeah. And I'm stood here. Yeah. And you go up to them and they're like, don't want to know, like not interested, and you're like, fair enough, that's your decision, but utilise that instructor, like, because they could help you exponentially. Like it
doesn't have to. It's not. Yeah, and that's a good point. It doesn't necessarily mean utilise them for a year's personal training. Yeah, utilise them for a couple of questions.
Chat to them, I think the big, and this, here you go, here's a con of being in the fitness industry. Majority of gym instructors, unless you're good ones, or you're in good gyms, you're stood around a lot, cleaning. Yeah. You know,
we would rather you interact with us than us spray down treadmills.
Indeed.
Even if it's just asking stupid questions or just general talk.
The amount of times I'd be spraying a treadmill or whatever, and someone would come up and go, I'm really sorry to interrupt.
So no, please do.
And I'd be, literally going, interrupt me, what, cleaning? Yeah. Do you know what I'd rather be doing? Talking to you, you know? So if you ever see a gym instructor cleaning and you want to ask them a question, go up to them, because they'll be absolutely grateful for you, because even if they don't finish their cleaning, they can go back to the boss and be like, didn't finish that because I got talking to a member, they wanted help with this. That's going to be a much more benefit than cleaning a treadmill, you know? So, because that's retention. And if a gym boss, if you are in the industry, if a gym boss says, no, you should have been cleaning, rather than talking all that time with a member, then they have no idea. No. They need to know that interaction with members is the best thing.
That treadmill could be cleaned any time by anyone else. Whereas what you could, this is a big, hypothetical, but that one person comes up and asks you something, fine, you've helped them. That could lead to PT. Yep. If it doesn't necessarily lead to PT with that person, the information that you gave to them could be valuable to someone else that they know. So then that could be a referral and blah, blah, blah.
Someone could have been watching you have that conversation on Gym 4 and realise you're really approachable and go, okay, they got their question answered and they went off really happy. I'm going to go ask them a question.
They asked a question that I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's made me think of something else.
And I need to ask that question. Yeah.
No, sorry, I'm not going to talk to you. I've got to spray this treadmill.
No, I bet there's
so if the boss gets shitty at you for that,
then
punch him in the throat.
Don't do that. No. There's a con of the industry. You can't punch your boss in the throat
unless he punches you first.
Okay, I never punched you. Stop saying he. No, I was your boss.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Well, actually,
pretty much.
You were the.
I was the in-betweener.
The semi-boss.
The semi-boss. Yeah. I was the middleman, as it were. But
middle woman.
Middle woman, yes. Of course. Middle person. Yeah. But so we've been quite good here because we haven't really bashed any companies or anything like that.
No, that's just pretty much all been pros.
We've been quite good there.
Which is surprising based on what we were saying before we started filming.
Try not to bash companies.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to bash companies. That's not what this is about. It's about trying to tell you basically that
it's not all what you think it might be.
Most companies are very similar. I would, as a person that has worked in a majority of them, there are pros and cons to working for all different companies. As a heads up, it's about what works for you.
Yeah, I think fundamentals at the core, regardless of the company, are going to be the same. Obviously, different companies are going to have different ways of doing things, different procedures and stuff. But at the end of the day, regardless of the company, they're going to, obviously, their priority is going to be profit and customer, like, experience, interaction, retention, etc.
Well, yeah, I think for me, and this is across the board, is there's a thing called NPS, and it's basically a survey that gets sent to anyone that's a member, and it's basically for members to put what they like about where they're at and what they don't like about where they're at.
It's basically just feedback.
It's a feedback form, yeah. So, and it's built into ratings, so then they get a rating at the end, and gyms are regulated on this, and it's put into different departments so that they can focus on operations or a cafe or the gym or the swimming pool or whatever, and then departments are then rated. What I don't like about this, thank you, Sky. What I don't like about this is, I will use Farnborough Leisure Centre as an example. This is not Places Leisure as an example. This is Farnborough Leisure Centre as an example, and members of, is that members use different areas of the centre. So they will probably, if they didn't use the gym, they'll put a down mark on the gym automatically. So then that makes the gym look bad. Or
that doesn't mean that they have got a negative thing to say about it. They haven't.
Haven't rated.
They haven't got a positive. Doesn't mean that there's a negative.
Yes. Yeah. So it was very hard to work within that kind of feedback rule, because they would have this overriding negative action of, let's say, the pool at the leisure centre was a bit dirty. It was, apparently. I don't know. Never went in. Well, I did as a kid. But and that would be the top thing that came out of that feedback form. This horrendous thing. Whereas at the bottom it'd say,
everything.
But the staff are great.
Yeah, they don't care about that.
But the negative action would be always the bit that got focused on the most.
There could be 100 points made. 99 of them were amazing feedback, and the one thing is just a criticism. That's the only thing they're interested in. And
note, the people that do surveys are always the ones that want to put negative things. Not many people go, oh, I'm going to fill that survey out because I want to say how amazing Jake was, or I want to say how amazing that class was. I did.
You have got to have your critics.
It's usually, but it's 80% critics, and not everyone fills it out. So it is not a general consensus as to what the entire member base is thinking. It's what the people that don't like it are thinking. And yes, that's a great thing for management to focus on, to try and make those things better, but you're not getting any positive feedback from anything apart from when you do sessions, say. You get, oh, that was great, thank you, mate.
Yeah.
You're like, good stuff. Can you fill out that feedback form and say how amazing I am? No, it's not going to happen. And it happens in every company I've ever been in. That's not Farnborough Leisure Centre on its own. That I've worked in Virgin Actives, I've worked in private gyms, worked in franchise gyms, and it's all the same. It's always the negative over the positive, and there's just no well done to the frontline staff.
No.
There's no thought from suits, as I call them, the head office of all of them, about the frontliners, and there's no opinion taken from them as to what would work better. It's always, let's come up with an idea in a meeting room and then trying to apply it onto the gym floor. Whereas the idea should be coming from the gym floor and put into where they're going to market it better, probably have some better ideas from that, because they have the time to think about these things. But that's the problem. They're not on the gym floor at the moment, so they don't know what it's like to be customer facing anymore. So they've forgotten how to do that, because I know the majority of them probably did come from gyms. Some of them.
I don't think they did. From what I've experienced, from the sheer lack of sense or any sort of procedure, I think they're just
Yeah, I think in the bigger companies, definitely there's a lack of knowledge.
Yeah, it's just like we're the boss regardless, you know.
And I think in the bigger companies I've worked for, the ability to speak your mind to make things better for your members, which is as a manager, as the assistant manager, I was always told that was my main focus, because gym is all about retention. Sales, sell, gym retains. Like, so if there's ways that I can make their customer service better, why aren't you listening to me?
Exactly,
and make? But they'd be like, don't need.
Yeah, don't need your opinion. You're just
on the gym floor, babe.
Yeah.
You know, your opinion's not relevant here. Yeah. And you know, I've spoken up a few times and it's gone on deaf ears, or I've even been told off for speaking my mind. Yeah. And that for me is a con of a lot of companies, that not just in the fitness industry, that you're not able to say what do you think is going to work better on for us, the gym floor. So I think for that's a massive con for me, that there's just no freedom.
There's no acknowledgement.
No well dones or anything like that. So
no.
I think targets get set, because, and you get them, and it's almost like, well, you should have hit target.
It's like there's no acknowledgement for you doing something. So it's like, well, I'm not going to bother if you're not going to acknowledge it, and then you get marked down or punished for not then putting the effort.
So I think that it's massive to. I think that's in any company really. To, as a manager, you should look down and
regardless of your position,
see your team's specialisms, because they will all have their own specialisms as to what they prefer doing, what they want to achieve out of their day, and that's a pro and a con, because you'll find that there are managers that do that, and you'll find that managers that won't do that.
It's always going to be in the company's favour for the most part, though.
Yeah. And that, and that's most companies. That's not just gyms. So, but there's, throughout there's going to be issues within businesses. To move on to quickly, just to say, if you're going into self-employed personal training, depending on what route you choose, I was about to say route then, and turn into a right American. Whatever route you choose, so it might be to work within a gym as an instructor. So it's actually what Jake's going to go do at Cambly. So he'll work on the gym floor, get hours, and then also personal train with rental alongside.
Yeah.
So,
but PT is a thing. Is my thing. It's nothing to do with the company.
Yeah. So it's a separate nature. So he's PTing self-employed, and then he gets reduction on his rent because he's doing hours. One. My way of doing it is I am renting from a gym, but doing classes for them for free. So you can do it that way. Majority of people do hours for free, and then they don't pay rent.
Yeah.
So
because the companies or the gyms need.
Because they need people on gym floor. And it's usually in smaller gyms that tends to happen, smaller independent gyms that tends to happen.
I think that's what they do with like the gym and Pure
the
Gym.
Pure Gym, sort of Jets probably, which Australian, I don't know. But, the Village probably might do it like that. But the former way that we used to work was actually we got to personal train whilst on shift, but they took a percentage of what we made, which can happen in some other gyms. It might be that you pay a certain amount of money from the session, so a percentage of your session. I think you said that the gym that you train at does that, doesn't it? Like it was either pay a rent or you paid a bit of money from the session that you just had, depending on.
It was either whichever.
Yes, so whatever suited you.
So you could either pay X amount for a month, and then that's it, or you pay a percentage of what you charge per session, and then there's no direct rent. So whatever works best.
Ultimately, it's what works for you and what works for the company that you're working for, because that might be dependent. Obviously, Jake has hours already from that place, and now he's personal training on top, whereas it was within before. So pros wise, you can pick that flexibility. However, self-employed personal training is hard work. And you have to put effort into it. So there is a con at the beginning. It's fighting to build your client base.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate. I got to build my client base at Farnborough, and then I've taken it into my self-employed, which I would recommend to as many people as possible. If you can do that, have hours that you're getting paid for and personal training at the same time, then you can bring down your hours and up your PT, because you're going to get more money for doing personal training than you are for
and you're working in your own time, your own hours as well, rather than on their terms.
So yeah, for flexibility of hours, for me, it's been amazing. I can pick and choose where I work. Yes, I still do have long days. That is a con, but you have to work around your clients as well. So, but you can do that as a self-employed personal trainer.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's hard work. I've got very lucky. A lot of my clients are easy to work around. So pick your clients carefully as well. Because if you're picking clients that are mostly 9-to-5ers, then they're either going to want to train early morning or evenings.
And that's another reason it helps to have a much more intimate type sort of relationship with them, because it's like,
could you do that for me? Could you come in at that time instead? That'd be great.
They'll help you out more than someone who, you're not really that interested in.
Pick the demographic that works for you. If you love training in the evening, like training clients in the evening, then get people that are going to train in the evening. Don't get the people that are going to get you out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. I like training in the mornings. Pick the clients carefully. Cons of self-employed, obviously you're having to do your own taxes. That's a real ball ache. So just bear that in mind when you do decide to do anything into self-employed. Unfortunately, it looks like majority of personal training within the fitness industry is 90% self-employed, in my opinion.
Yeah, very rare do you find it how we
used to have it at Farnborough.
Yeah, PT and
it
on
was
shift
very rare,
and getting paid for shifts.
Yeah, completely rare, completely out there. Probably the best, apart from the rate, which was horrendous.
The setup was,
for the hours that I did, absolutely perfect. They're all going to want people on gym floor to be able to interact with their members, unless you are a pure gym or a 24-hour gym that don't really have staff members on site, which is a massive con in my opinion, because their members don't have access to them. But that's what personal trainers need to be on the gym floor, and that's a con of personal training, trying to build your base. You're having to be in there doing that free stuff that Jake mentioned way earlier.
Yeah.
That you've got to do those things to be able to build a base that is going to work for you. Yeah. But it's not all bad. Like we've been in the industry, I don't know how long you've been in it, 6-7 years, something like that.
In leisure or in gym?
Gym.
7 years.
So 6-7 years, and I'm 10 years in August. So we've seen a lot of changes and differences over that time, and we're still here. So it can't be all bad.
Yeah.
Otherwise we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the passion's there within our training, which is what keeps us going. I think that's a real big priority for any upcoming gym instructor / personal trainer.
You just got to find the area of it that you like, and then you really push that. Like obviously teaching classes and spin and stuff. Yeah. That's all part of fitness and gym stuff. Yeah. But I have no interest in that.
No.
And you won't see me teaching body pump.
No. But the communities that get built from those things and the friends that you can make from classes and things like that is fantastic. Like the spin, like even having left Farnborough, I'm still all the time getting asked where you're doing spin and what, and you're still getting messages from people from old gyms wondering what you're up to. So there is, you make good friends, or even if they're not friends, they're people that you're going to bond with for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with colleagues. Because obviously this is built from 5.5 years working together.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like we're like-minded. Whereas I have the same, if not longer, I've known other people that you know as well for longer than I've known you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do this with some of them.
Yeah.
So it's not just necessarily about how long you've been doing it with someone for.
No.
It has to be someone who...
You need to be able to bounce that idea off you. And you'll find those people within the industry. And well, in any job, I think you need to find the right people that you work with. Because you'll meet some really good friends from it.
It's good.
Well then, that was a long one.
Yeah, that was.
So that was the pros and cons of the fitness industry. Which I think, congratulations, mate. We really didn't bash.
No, we didn't slate as much, nowhere near as much
No,
as I
we
thought
were
was
worried.
almost inevitable.
We were worried, but we got through it.
Yeah.
Right then, team. If you've got any questions about the fitness industry that you'd like answered, especially if you're like an up-and-coming personal trainer, and you kind of want some help, support,
or if
thinking
you have your own bad or good experiences with it, let us know.
Let us know, definitely.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I bet there's loads. I bet there's some great stories
out there.
Yeah, so.
There will be.
Right then, team, comment in the box below or give us a DM. And Sky says bye too. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers, guys.